Hi there. Welcome to our next video in a series reviewing clinical indicators for dynamic seating. Today we're going to focus on dynamic seating to be used to prevent equipment damage, a very common application. My name is Michelle Lang. I'm an occupational therapist in the Denver, Colorado area. Let's jump on in. So, one of our most common clinical indicators for use of dynamic seating is to absorb and diffuse force. In our last video, we discussed how this can be used to prevent client injury. Today, we're also going to look at how absorbing and diffusing force can prevent equipment damage and breakage. So breakage can occur wherever the client is able to exert undue forces. This is most commonly seen at the footrest hangers and footplates, at the back canes, the seat frame, the seating system mounting hardware, and the head support mounting hardware. We might see actual breakage, or it might be that these pieces become loose or malaligned. Here on the right, we have a young man who has broken the plywood back to his linear back by colliding repeatedly with the lateral support that happened to be attached to these particular attachment points on the back. Breakage can occur due to extreme and sustained forces. Breakage can also occur due to an intermittent force that is an extreme degree of force. We might see repeated forces, very strong forces, and forces that occur in more than one plane where we have rotation involved. Here in this picture, there is a spring which is actually designed to prevent breakage. It's designed to absorb forces, but this client has exerted so much force against it that it has actually become bent. Equipment breakage can lead to the client not being able to use their wheelchair or seat until repairs occur, depending on where and to what degree the damage has occurred. There are a lot of bad consequences to our clients remaining in bed, from respiratory issues, swallowing issues, lack of participation, pressure concerns, etc. This also can increase a burden on the caregiver who has to care for this client in a different way if they cannot use their mobility equipment, and again, miss participation, school work, etc. It can also be quite a challenge to repeatedly ask for the same components because our clients repeatedly break them. So let's look at a few examples. We already saw on the left here this picture of a broken back, and this was Eddie's back, who's pictured here to the right. Eddie would lean forward and throw himself back with great force within his chair, colliding with the lateral trunk support with enough force and repeatedly that it broke off where that lateral attached, where the hardware attached to these attachment points on the plywood base of the back. Kylie, we saw this picture before, turned this very strong spring into a C with constant pushing against this foot plate. So now the foot plate is out of position and this component needs to be replaced. Joe had a dynamic back, but unfortunately broke it. He needed a more durable one. His back was moving, but these little elastomers shown here inside the yellow circles, those blue elastomers, were no longer being compressed by his movements. He had moved so much that the round holes that were a part of the dynamic back, where the screws went through a hole, now had rounded out. They would become ovals, and so there was a lot of movement between the bolts or screws and these holes, and that led to a lot of wiggle and movement within the back, but the elastomers were not being compressed anymore. So we replaced this with a more substantial dynamic back so that he would not end up completely being unable to use this one. So again, that's just a brief video of some examples of equipment damage that can occur with certain clients and how dynamic seating can absorb those forces and protect the equipment from damage, from outright breakage, and from loss of adjustment. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, go ahead and shoot us an email at either Seating Dynamics or directly to myself. Thanks so much. We'll see you later.